Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. This is round number 4 of the IAC, the Inter-America Challenge for Sim Racing 604, season number 7. It's quite interesting that we're quite a ways away now when we started from season 3, and I got to say I'm pretty excited because in the last 2 seasons now, we are joined by a brand new commentator. His name is Paul, not Spall. His name is Paul, aka the Gamer Scott, aka the Dodgeman. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Excited to be here. Looking forward to what's going to be a great race, judging by the free run times.
And for all these guys who don't know you, Paul, what's something quick about yourself you'd want them to know?
I am a massive petrol head, and I have been for my entire life. So basically, I just want to listen to cars making a lot of noise for the next hour.
Fantastic, Paul. We're glad to have you, and I'm pretty sure everyone else here is going to be glad you're here as well. Giancarlo will not be joining us tonight, guys. He'll be out of the booth. So make sure to drop a message in chat and let him know that you're wishing him well. We're going to quickly go over tonight's qualifier. And as no surprise, we have Brandon Schmid at the top of the charts, followed by Jeremy Mercer. Surprisingly enough, though, we have Joel Dallas beating out Peter O'Brien. This is the first time we've seen Joel Dallas come ahead of Peter O'Brien in Season 7. That's fantastic to see. And someone we haven't talked about too much is Oswin Wilson, usually running somewhere in the mid-pack. We have him now rounding out the top 5. That's great to see for the Jamaican. I can't wait what he's able to do tonight, as he's followed by Mike Seegers, JD Daniel, and surprisingly Eric Diaz in P8, Aiden Benitez P9, and Mr. Massive P10. So that's great to see. And D Braves, aka DB Cooper, in P11. We saw him one time out so far in Monza. We're going to see him again tonight as we come through the last chicane. Down the main straight we go. It's going to be a battle into turn 1 between Schmid and Mercer, followed by Joel and Peter O'Brien.
I was just watching Wilson in the pre-qualifying there. He was really smashing it.
I agree there, Paul. As we are green and we are live into round number 4, looks like Jeremy Mercer around the outside, getting a lot faster launch than Brendan Schmid. Same for Peter O'Brien, now getting ahead of Joel Dallas, as it looks like Brendan Schmid attempting to go around the outside on Jeremy Mercer, losing out, can't find the grip, tires too cold. Jeremy Mercer now leads the race, followed by Brendan Schmid, Peter O'Brien, and Joel Dallas. This is a fantastic lap so far. As we approach the first chicane, Joel Dallas very close. We see Oswin Wilson leading Mike Seegers, followed by Eric Diaz, JD Daniel, and Kurt Mossiv. Doesn't look like we have any sort of a problem with the top 5 leaders so far. We're going to move down with Oswin Wilson. So far, he's leading the top 6. That's going to get really weird with the ACC leaderboards at the moment. Coming into the next chicane now, Jeremy Mercer still leading the pack, followed by Brendan Schmid. Everyone doing a great job of maintaining their position. Going back to Oswin, looks like Mike Seegers has caught up a lot. Eric Diaz now losing a bit of that pace now from Mike Seegers. Going into the hairpin, we're going to see where Jeremy Mercer lands. Doing a great job of keeping the card nice and tight. It looks like Brandon and Peter are keeping it a lot tighter than he is able to. Great exit by Mercer, though. And it looks like so far into first lap, we're doing so good. Let's not curse it. Going into the final chicane. And it looks like Mercer's able to make it out nice and well, followed by Brandon Schmid and Peter O'Brien. Paul, what a great lap that was.
It was. I was just keeping an eye on Dallas there, coming into the second chicane. Get a bit squirrely coming out. I don't know if maybe the cold tires, he wasn't used to that after the practice. But I think it knocked him back a little bit. It looks like he's made it back up on O'Brien now, though.
Yeah, definitely. He's right on him. And these two, to catch you up on a little bit of history between O'Brien and Joel Dallas, they are definitely close racers, and there's a rivalry there that's been forming for quite a while. Let's go on here with Peter O'Brien. Joel Dallas trying to make the move down the inside, decides to back away into the first chicane. It looks like everybody grabbing a little bit of air, except for Eric Diaz. Aiden Benitez gets sent out a little wide, coming out of the exit. Looks like DB Cooper trying to make a move there on Paulo Alex and Carlos Plaza. And it looks like he gets ahead of Paulo Alex, now behind Plaza. That's a great job by DB Cooper. And it looks like Mike Seegers still defending from Eric Diaz. And Jerry Mercer still leading this race, followed by Brandon Schmid. And we have our second yellow flag there. Go ahead, Paul.
Going back down the pack a little bit, Moss unfortunately has dropped to 14. I don't know what happened. I completely missed it. But they're having a bit of a hard time with the sounds of it. They just lost a second.
Yeah, it looks like we have a yellow flag with number 33. Let's go on board with Kurt Moss. He's running 14th at the moment behind Casper Minda in the K-Packs. That's very weird for Moss. And we have Andrew Marsden now running P39 as we've lost 2 drivers within 2 laps.
Yikes. It's a hard start.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a yellow flag coming out of the first chicane at the end of lap 1. And it looks like we have another one now with number 49. He's still parked on the outside. Not sure who number 49 is at the moment. Looks like that's Marquez. Seems like he's recuperated, but now running P28 and dropping P32 as the leaderboard settles.
Nice. He's going to have a hard time making that back up.
Yeah, I agree. One simple mistake here in Zolder can result in a lot of positions being lost. And if you take a look at the track map, it's everyone's pretty bunched up at the moment. And it looks like number 37 has retired to the pits.
Narveson.
I believe that might be Robson as he's coming back out at the moment. Hopefully that it might have been a return to garage as he's currently in last place. So the pivot man is going to have to make some quite beautiful and daring moves to make up the time he's lost. And going back up to the front here, looks like Mercer is still followed by Schmid, as well as O'Brien, followed by Dallas.
Schmid is maybe just taking it a little bit easy. He did qualify slightly faster, or he did, sorry, finish his pre-run, his practice runs a little bit quicker. So maybe he's just taking it a little bit easier this time.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, and we see a contact with Peter and Joel coming into the chicane. It looks like Joel I'm not sure who made the initial contact. We saw Joel on the outside. Then we saw Peter O'Brien taking a wider line through the chicane. Now Joel is in front. Knowing Joel, if that position was taken with any sort of contact, it would be given back. So if Joel maintains the lead, then I care to believe that Joel made the move cleanly, though there was a bit of contact involved.
I like to believe in that kind of sportsmanship as well.
And as you mentioned earlier, between Schmid and Mercer, we definitely saw in free practice and qualifying that Brandon Schmid was continually upping the game. The last time I saw for Mercer was a 128.1, which I'm not sure if anyone got faster than that. Did we see a 127?
No, Schmid actually did 128.05.
That is
so
fantastic.
They were like, hundredths of a second apart.
Yeah,
so I mean, it literally is anyone's game.
Looking at their lap times right now, they're both in the 128s. Schmid is a 10th behind Mercer with a 128.7. So these two can definitely speed up the pace by quite a bit. So as you're saying, Paul, I do agree. I think that he's just biding his time and waiting for the perfect time to strike.
Yep, and back in ninth place, Daniel is putting in some good lap times now as well. He just did a quickest at 128.9. Now it's the high nines, but that puts him a good bit quicker than the guys in front of him.
Yeah, I agree. He's chasing down Eric Diaz, and it looks like this train's being led by Oswin Wilson, who's currently battling out with Mike Seegers. It's the Bentley brothers out for revenge now. Coming into the final chicane, looks like Mike Seegers trying to make a move down the inside. Decides going to pull away, decides to move back. Does not have enough room to make it. That's a lot of indecision from Mike Seegers. Now Eric Diaz is going to capitalize. Eric Diaz being a strong competitor. I don't think that Mike Seegers has the room to make these sort of quick changes. He's going to have to stick to a line, because if he can't make the move on Oswin, you know Eric Diaz is going to be there to strike.
100%. He's just waiting for another mistake.
And you can quickly see it there, Paul. Mike Seegers taking that wider line, dipping the tire into the grass, trying to find the room to overtake Oswin. It doesn't look like Mike Seegers. He might have more pace, but he's not showing that racecraft he needs, as it looks like Eric Diaz made a little hint at a move down the inside, pulls back away.
Oh, better. Yeah, he definitely thought he had a space, but this just ran out of track.
And now J.D. Daniels coming into the fray, as Oswin Wilson's making up quite a gap from Mike Seegers. As Giancarlo likes to put it, it looks like this truly train is getting underway. However, Oswin Wilson is leaving the station. It's going to be a battle now for P6.
And Diaz is going to be right behind them as well. Like, Diaz, Seegers, and Wilson are all like within 200ths of a second. So that is one tire slip away from a full game changer.
Definitely, I agree. And we look closely behind. Aiden Benitez is not too far away. So any slip up from Mike Seegers could see a 3-place drop. As one more time, we see him getting into the grass. Great job carrying the speed, but just not having the control to maintain it. And you can see the distance between him and Oswin, and it's just steadily growing. Let's go on board here with Mike Seegers as we look at Eric Diaz trying to hunt him down for P6. Both doing a great job of taking that corner on the chicane very aggressively. We're going to look into the braking zone now. It doesn't look like the NSX is making much time as we hit the braking point. But now coming out of the exit, the NSX of Eric Diaz has just managed to build up quite a distance. It doesn't look like the Bentley has the control. Looks like Eric Diaz making a move down the outside, decides to pull away. Very much tighter down the inside of the chicane. Great job touching the apex. I think Eric Diaz is showing us why he has been leading the championship for a while.
Oh, absolutely. You can tell that he's looking for spaces. Like, he is just waiting for the tiniest little slip up, and then he's going to strike.
Quickly looking ahead.
That gap is nothing.
Yeah, it's very short. I think that's the closest gap we have. We have quite a bit of a good one. If we look at Rafael Stolfo chasing down Jeffrey Bray, quite similar here to Eric Diaz. All right, Paul.
Yep, we've got a similar kind of half-second space between them. Oh! Who just came off? Oh, that was Bray.
Jeffrey Bray, that sucks for him. That is absolutely gutting for Bray.
Just cursed him.
Yeah, it looks like he's ahead of Zach Felix now. Zach Felix in P21.
Wow, I guess just went too aggressively trying to get that overtake.
Yeah, that might have been a little bit of a moment of commentator's curse.
Yep, 100% that time.
As now Rafael Astolfo is being chased down by Christopher Greer. And it looks like the gap for Eric Diaz and Mike Seegers has dissipated just quite a bit, about 5/10. However, Adrian Benitez has gotten a lot closer.
That's what I was, yeah, those two are now starting to...
Oh,
Daniel and Benitez are both getting a bit closer now as well.
That was interesting here. Mike Seegers deciding to defend early on the outside, or on the inside part, and switch it to the outside. Got a bit of the marbles.
Always going to lose it here.
Eric Diaz sending it now down the inside. They're going to go wheel to wheel.
Who's got the better line in? Oh, no. Can't do it.
Seems like Seegers shut that door on Eric.
Yeah, it's a good fight.
If you look further down, it looks like Carlos Plaza is going to get closely involved now for the battle for 6th. And we have a yellow flag, number 37. That's going to be Bob Robson, whom we've already seen in the pits. That might be, I don't want to call it too soon, but that might be a potential DNF for him. Hopefully he sticks it out, though. Never know how many more positions you can gain.
Well, especially under the yellow flag. He's going to close a lot of those gaps that you might have otherwise lost.
Great job by Eric Diaz bridging that gap, getting closer under braking. We definitely saw a great battle coming into turn 1 last lap. We have a similar situation now. We have Diaz on the inside. Quick transition to the racing line. For the switchback goes Eric Diaz, getting right up on his bumper. And now J.D. Daniel getting involved. That allowed him to get a lot closer.
It looks like Seegers might be getting a little bit nervous there. Went a little bit wide in that curb.
Oh, he is. And it looks like Eric's just being very cautious, causing him to lose out of speed. As I say that, he dips a track into the gravel. And now he's on the marbles. J.D. Daniel trying to make a move around the outside.
Didn't quite have the pace. He's going in a lot of those corners really slow.
And I'm pretty sure J.D. Daniel saying the same thing about Diaz. Decide to look left, look right. And there's the spin for Diaz.
Oh!
Or not Diaz, for J.D. And looks like Benitez got involved as well. Nowhere for him to go.
Oh, it's a bad spot.
Definitely is. He was getting impatient behind Eric Diaz, where I think we can see the racecraft difference, where Diaz, though he has more pace than Seegers, is managing to keep that distance and keep himself on track.
Yeah, you can tell both of them are really confident about what they're doing. I feel like Seegers has got to be getting nervous about how confident Diaz is coming up behind him, though.
I'm going to leave you with Diaz and Seegers for a bit, Paul. I'm going to switch to the leaders. And it looks like Jeremy Mercer is still ahead of Brendan Schmid. They're now coming into lap traffic as Eric Narvson is getting lapped. There we go. We see Jeremy Mercer with the aggressive dive, and that's going to cost him a lot of spaces. Now Brendan Schmid is going wheel to wheel for the race lead. Brendan Schmid gets in front of Mercer as we head into the chicane. Joel Dallas following close behind. And it looks like that overtake from Mercer has cost him the race lead. Decided to make the move aggressively to lap Eric Narvson. Jumping over the curves, that unsettled the car. Couldn't catch grip fast enough. Brandon Schmid diving into the inside. That's the move Schmid has been waiting for.
You can tell. His lap times have been faster. He's just not had a good spot to overtake yet.
Yeah, I agree. His fastest lap is 0.2 faster than Mercer. So Brandon Schmid, I know we like to joke about Stormtroopers not having accuracy, but this one does. The Ethereum Stormtrooper Brandon Schmid with the laser focus. Great job by Schmid, as now Dallas is going to hunt down Mercer for P2.
The gap is starting to really open up now between 5th and 6th position. It's like a full half second apart now. That was really tight a minute ago between Wilson and Seegers.
Yeah, as the pit window opens now, we're going to start seeing a bit of that. We can see Peter O'Brien, unfortunately, lapping JD Daniel, who was previously running in PA behind Diaz. Now going into the pits early, it kind of worked out for him. As the pit window opened, he decided to pull off the undercut. We're going to see if that works out for him. But now he's being lapped by Peter O'Brien, who he was 4 positions behind not too long ago. Would you say that was commentator's curse, Paul, to hop back on Mercer?
I can't think of any other explanation, really. These guys know what they're doing. Then we just come along, we talk about how well they're going. It's the kiss of death.
Of course. Joel Dallas now going into the pits, pulling off an undercut. We're going to see how that works out for him. Oswin Wilson now also coming into the pits very early on. We're almost halfway into the race, so it's going to be very interesting. These are going to be our earliest pits. And as we look further back, we only have Sweeney, Greer, Daniel Moss, Minda Felix, Marsden, Narfson, and Robson having cleared it. Quite a bit of names, but when you look at the overall, it's not that much. So we're going to see how powerful the undercut is here in Zolder, as Mercer is now 9/10 behind Schmid. What do you reckon, Paul? Do you think that he's going to be able to maintain that close distance that Schmid had on him?
He's going to have a hard time, just because, as I say, Schmid's lap times have been insane. He's almost up to the fastest that he did in the free run. So he's just going to keep bringing those down. I think it's going to be pit strategy that really separates these guys.
Yeah, that's going to be very true. I think at this point, Mercer might be deciding to follow Schmid into the pits.
I wouldn't blame him. Like, neither of them is going to want to give up that momentum.
Yeah, I think in this case, Joel Dallas just had the best moment, or at least the best position to attempt that undercut.
He does. I feel like it would need a really bad pit event for Dallas to catch up that easily. But his lap times, again, have been right up there. So it's definitely possible.
Yeah, Joel Dallas is only a 10th off his best lap, a 128.5, from the race leader. He's actually 1/10 faster than Jeremy Mercer. And it looks like on that last lap, Brennan Schmid dropped in a 128.9, which, if my math is correct, that's 0.2 faster than Jeremy Mercer. Although, you know what? Let's not count out Peter O'Brien just yet, who set an identical lap time, 128.148, to Jeremy Mercer.
I'm just looking further down the pack to see if there's any other surprises.
I think the current one we see here is Eric Diaz. He's chasing down Seegers again, although this time, same move we saw before, around the outside, but definitely now he has a lot of grip. Did not allow Seegers to close the door. He's going to have to keep that grip. It looks like Seegers has the tighter line.
Oh.
Seegers fighting back for the switch.
That surprises me. I feel like that was a confidence loss there, and he didn't get the foot down. He had the better line.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it seemed like Eric Diaz came in with a lot more speed to make the overtake, did not find the grip on the outside line, did not keep a tight line to keep the door shut.
And he just lost it there, I think.
Oh, this might be it.
Yep. Yeah, he's got it this time, I think. Yep.
Yeah, and great job by Seegers, acknowledging that he's there, leaving the space.
I wonder if that means we're going to see Diaz started to pull away now.
That's possible, and if he does so, Peter O'Brien is going to be under pressure. He's 3 seconds behind him, lost quite a bit of time chasing down Seegers. But as you mentioned, it's going to come down to pit strategy as Brendan Schmid enters the pits and Mercer takes the lead.
I guess his tires were just getting a little bit too worn there.
You know what? Mercer wasn't too close behind that Schmid was going to be able to sneak it away. Do you reckon this is a tactful move, or he just did not have his strategy set up and just could not pit?
I'm hoping that this was tactical rather than necessity. But you never know. I mean, when a race is that tight, sometimes tactics can just go out the window.
Yeah, as we
you
see
don't
here,
you don't want to lose that second place just because you spin out and your own stupidity because you didn't change your tires or your fuel's done. That's a mistake that none of these guys are going to make. I
agree. And I think Rogerio Santos is going to agree with you more as he's fighting back with Christopher Greer. Slightest mistake here is going to allow one of them to become the winner of this battle, both now having cleared their pit stops. This is a battle to the end for Greer and Santos. And Christopher Greer just dipping a lot more, but he gets a faster, a wider line coming out the exit. That might have been a track limits violation for Greer. Making a slight flash at Santos, probably not too happy, not sure what would have gone on.
I didn't see anything that looked, all that bad. But from this angle, it's hard to tell.
Look at Greer just chase him down right on his bumper.
And he's giving it up. Yeah, he had to.
Yeah, and it looks like into the braking zone, into that chicane previously, that might have been what Christopher Greer wasn't too happy about. Seemed like he was stronger into the braking zones than Rogerio Santos. Looking on back here with Brendan Schmid now coming out in P11. Jerry Mercer has entered the pits. Eric Diaz has become our provisional race leader. It's the same thing that happened in Monza one more time. We saw him start in the rear and out of nowhere just came into leading the lap. So far, great job by Eric Diaz. Oh, and that's a net code issue. And hopefully it's fixed for him. As he gets around Aiden Benitez. Looks like Jerry Mercer has come out of the pits in P5. And it looks like that's ahead of Brendan Schmid. We're going to have to wait for these leaderboards to settle themselves out. But it looks like Schmid has lost out in the pits to Jerry Mercer.
Well, that's exactly what Mercer would be hoping for. I mean, he must know. He's got the lap times up. He knows. It's going to take some smart driving, I think, more than skill at this point. It's just going to be a smart move that wins it.
That's absolutely gutting for Schmid. He must have had some traffic on his outlap for Mercer to have just caught up, unless there was some sort of damage that just held him up a little longer in the pits. Although, you know what? I reckon that Schmid might be able to bridge this gap. It looks like Mercer getting a bit of oversteer on exit. Joel Dallas and Peter O'Brien not too far behind. They're going to go around Paulo Alex now. As we see David Manias exiting the pits.
Oh, wow. I just watching the 12th, 13th, 14th position battles. Lamy just gave up 2 positions. It took a corner really poorly.
Yeah, he's coming in the pits now. Looks like he was on older tires.
That would explain it. It was a really, really bad bit of cornering.
Max Graff in the pits. We see the H-Man in the pit. Haven't talked too much about Harrison Lynn here at Zolder. He's currently running P36. That's not a place where we've seen the H-Man before. It looks like the Minzilla has not been successful out tonight here in Zolder. And it looks like we got Reaper in the chat asking about Joel Dallas. Joel Dallas right now is currently running 6th. It does not look like the undercut has aided him too much. He's still running for 3rd behind Schmid and Mercer. It almost seems like the overcut was the strategy, as Mercer has retained his lead. And now Joel Dallas is going to have to contend with a bit of lap traffic as he's chasing down David Manice. He's got a good gap away from Peter O'Brien, 2 seconds, a lot closer than his gap to Brendan Schmid. So Joel Dallas definitely is still on a podium, I believe, once G and Diaz have settled their strategies. But you know what, Paul, as we talk about the overcut here, Eric Diaz, where do you reckon he's going to come out? Ahead of Mercer, potentially?
I would be surprised. I haven't really been looking at that battle right now, unfortunately. But I don't think at this point that's be a surprising take, to be honest. But you know, he's got it now. He could keep it.
So I just saw that he's roughly 25 seconds away from Mercer. That might be just enough time for him to pit and come out somewhere in front of Joel Dallas.
It could be just about enough. Some of these pit times, the pit stops have been like 31 seconds, so it could be. If he gets in and out fast enough, he might have a chance. But I think it's the running, right? It's the slowing down, not just the actual stop for the pits, right? So I don't know. That could be a whole 30 seconds.
Yeah, you have
but
a good
keep an
point.
eye on it. What happens.
As we look here with Daniel Lund being chased down by Michael Medina for P12. We've briefly touched on both of them so far in the season. Haven't gotten to cover much of their battles. Does not look like there's much to be had at the moment. But Medina's doing a great job as he catches up Daniel Lund. And it looks like there's a drive-through for Aiden Benitez. Justin G now in the pits. And it looks like he's going to be P6 right behind O'Brien. So it looks like Eric Diaz is going to be our final guy to pit. There he is now, followed by Aiden Benitez coming into the pits. We're going to closely watch Eric Diaz, where he's going to come out and how this is going to affect our battle with Jeremy Mercer. So far, Mercer still coming up. It looks like he's now in Sector 3, down the hairpin. Eric Diaz still in the pits. He's right at the front, though, so he's going to have a quick exit. Jeremy Mercer now into the final chicane. One more time with Diaz still in the pits. Here comes Mercer. It looks like that's not going to be a move for Diaz. Brandon Schmid now goes by. Here comes Joel Dallas, and he's released from the pits. Pit limiter off. He's going to be pushing now.
He's going to have to be careful
man.
with tires, though.
I agree. Somewhat of a safe job not crossing the line, but so far so good.
So a battle between Latsis and Felix going on up in the 25th and 26th position that is starting to settle itself out now. It looks like, it looks like Felix is keeping a hold of that position after all.
Yeah, and you know what? We saw these two guys in free practice in the same order, consistently chasing each other down. So I think they're quite familiar with this site at the moment. So I would bet that this is a rivalry starting to form between the two Ferraris. We're going to head on back with the leaders, not too far behind Felix and Latsis. Coming out of the final chicane, now down the main straight. Looks like Eric Diaz could not beat Peter O'Brien, but he is into P5. That is a fantastic move from Diaz. If you remember his qualifying, I believe he was down in the midfield, somewhere P10 and below.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't nearly in the top 5 position that he is now.
Now, the one thing about Eric Diaz is he's consistently had power unit issues, and by that I mean electrical home power issues. So it has not been the best of luck for him, especially entering qualifying. So we're gonna find out if that power unit's able to sustain the remaining 16 minutes of this race.
He's certainly hoping that it can.
And it looks like Casper Minda with a 10-second penalty. Team K-Pax is not going to be happy. And it seems like our closest battle right now is still Mike Medina with Daniel Lund. It's about that time in the race where everyone's somewhat separated from each other. Let's go quickly give a shout out here to Mr. Cruise Missile. That's Christian Michelli, if you're not familiar, aka the Honda Fast Boy. If you're not sure what his superpower is, it's making any Honda stay in VTEC kicked in yo. That's that man's power. Although in P23, I'm sure he'd beg to differ. He's probably going to be asking Eric Diaz for some NSX setup tips. But the Cruise Missile doing a great job, though. Hopefully he moves up into P20. And someone we haven't talked about so much, David Nelson. He came out strong for the silver class in Paul Ricard. Saw him with great moves in Nürburgring. Had great battles as well in Monza. It doesn't look like Zolder has been his track, unfortunately. And now that's a 15-second penalty for the data man, Christopher Greer. Does not look too good here for our midfield.
There's some of these drivers look like they've kind of given up a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think they're pushing it as hard as they should. Maybe they're just happy with the positions they've got.
I'm trying to locate Aiden Benitez. Looks like he's still fighting out. Still has a bit of that fighting spirit as he chases down Rogerio Santos. And he's going down wheel to wheel. Down the inside.
Santos taking a bit slow there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to have the ability to fight it. And that's a great move by Benitez. Yeah, he pushed out Santos wide into the marbles, just could not get the grip, didn't have the straight line speed. That's a great job by the Bentley making the move before the chicane, and now he's into P21.
Yeah, he's off and running as well now.
Wesley Lamy now chasing down Mike No Track Limits Lewis. Down the inside goes Lamy, and they make contact. And it looks like No Limits Lewis just had no limits tonight.
I think the officials are going to have something to say about that.
Yeah, the stewards will look at that for sure.
Yeah, that was... you can kind of see Lamy there. I just imagine him holding his hands up, like screaming at the screen there.
I agree. Now he's behind Justin G. Justin G's not going to let him behind. Unfortunately, Lamy is lap traffic. But he is trying to still fight it out between Marsden. Marsden in the Audi. And it looks like they went into the chicane together, but they're going to come out separately with Marsden now taking the lead That's a 2-position drop for Wesley Lamy. Or 1 position, 2, considering he could have had one on Lewis.
Yeah. And to be honest, he's maybe lucky that it was only 2 or 1.5.
Yeah, that's very true.
In and out like that is an absolute nightmare.
And talking about nightmares, Jeffrey Bray is having an absolute one right now. Running P16, trying to get around Lamy and Marsden. Doesn't look like they're both allowing that to happen. I'm pretty sure Lamy is not going to make, there you go, there it is. Makes the move, but not purposefully. And now Chris Sweeney gets by, but that's as Sweeney chases down Bray. So that's worked out for Bray and Sweeney. Definitely Lamy losing out.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just nerves getting the better of him now as we start to close into the last part of the race.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think his tires were too dirty by that point, but it depends where his mental game is at right now.
Yeah, you check that mirror, see someone's like riding you. There's, I don't know. You've still got 10 minutes to go. It's hard to say. Maybe his hands just got sweaty. You never know.
Let's hope he's wearing gloves. As we look on board here with Mercer, he's still maintaining that lead, but Brennan Schmid has brought down that gap by 1 second. He's now 0.9 away. Joel Dallas, though, still right in the fight, 0.3 away from Schmid. 2 Bentleys following this Mercedes. It's going to be a battle of the German. Actually, they're not both German. As you could correct me there, Paul. You mentioned you were a fellow Scotsman.
I am, yeah. The cars are German though, so that's fine. But yeah, I mean, talking about looking in the rear view, like I would not want to be Mercer right now, because Schmid and Dallas are that close behind. He has got to be. It's brown trousers time for him, really.
Yeah, definitely, and it looks like they had bridged the gap within 4/10 coming into Sector 2. Coming out of Sector 3, they're now dropped down 3/10 from the original time at the start of the lap, at least for Brennan to Mercer. Looks like Joel Dallas has only dropped back to about 1/10. Still close behind, but I agree, looking back on this rear view for Mercer, any sort of mistake as we saw in that first stint, that's 2 positions done.
In no time, yeah. It's gonna just a little slip. One too many tires on the curb there.
And talking about a little slip, we saw Brendan Schmid going wide, losing out the grip. Joel Dallas round the outside. Looks like Joel Dallas is going to have the grip to attack. Brendan Schmid with the switchback, but we've seen this time and time again. The move's not over yet until we head into the final turn. And it's going to be all about the exit speed. Is he going to stay on the marbles enough time down the straight? Will he have enough to close the door? Doesn't look like it's going to be like it. We're going to go door to door. He's going to pull away. Joel Dallas now into P2. Great job by Joel Dallas.
Oh, we just had Greer and Minda forcing Nelson off the track there. Up in the 19th and 20th position.
Oh, jeez.
Nelson will be salty after that.
We quickly see Nelson behind, and there goes Lamy one more time, getting spun.
It's not his day.
No, it's not. That's unfortunate for Lamy. Greer and Minda already both have time penalties. There goes Javier Marquez into the Armco, almost making contact with David Nelson. David Nelson gets away just fine. I think that fighting spirit's starting to come back out, Paul.
It's it might be vengeance at this point.
You know what? I will agree. I will agree.
And I can't blame them. I think I'd be the same way. But that also leads to mistakes, though, right? You know, you can't drive angry like that without expecting to, you know, to make mistakes.
Yeah, you have a valid point. And I think Brandon Schmid's going to be taking those words to heart as he chases down Joel Dallas. Fortunately for him, it looks like Rob Ruggiero is ahead of Mercer. That's lap traffic, so it hopefully might slow down for the leaders just enough for Schmid to get around. It's going to all depend on Ruggiero and how quickly he is to move out of the way. Ruggiero running P24.
Hopefully he has the chance to move out the way. Coming at this section, there's not that much opportunity in the next 2 corners. So he's gonna... Oh yeah, he's going wide. Again, sportsmanlike.
Yeah, but it looks like now Joel and Brennan are a lot closer to Ruggiero, which means their gap to Mercer is going to drop by quite a bit. Although, it's hopefully we see that same move from Ruggiero. If not another lap, they might not sustain it, but here it comes down into turn 1. It doesn't look like Ruggiero's making any sort of indication that he's going to make way. He's probably thinking he's not close enough just yet. But the longer this takes, that gap for Mercer is going to grow.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Schmid right now, you are cursing the very ground that he's driving on.
Although for Schmid, it looks like that's going to be a quicker overtake than it was for Dallas. And let's not count out Peter O'Brien closely behind as well in the McLaren.
It's hard to forget about him in that color scheme.
No, you can never forget about Pete. And as I look at the board, it looks like Minda is pretty close to Benitez. He's 0.2 away. Same with JD and Manais. Let's go on board here with JD. I think this is kind of more heart-wrenching for anyone to see. JD, we saw him competing at the top, right behind Schmid with O'Brien. Now in P29 being lapped by DB. That's gutting for the Lexus. As we go on board here at the moment where we saw him spin and make contact with Aiden Benitez. And unfortunately for Manais, that is lap traffic, as now DB is going to get around. But it looks like JD is going to make up a position. He's going to get the toe on the outside with DB. And it looks like Manais is going to do a great job of threading the needle right in between, defending the position, keeping away from JD. Battle's not over now. Looks like each have a great toe from each other. JD much tighter on the apex, doing a great job of keeping the car in line. There he goes, down the inside, did not make the move. Who's going to have the faster exit here? You got to do a great job of hitting the apex on the outside, getting that V shape, pointing the car in, going flat out, getting a good braking here, and just getting on the power early without sending it into the gravel. Flat out down into the chicane. And it looks like both are doing a great job of taking that initial curve with a lot of bravery. There goes JD trying to make the move around the outside, thinking he has a lot more speed. It's going to come into the braking zone. They're going to make a little bit of contact. He's going to get away with it, though, but now that is going to set him back just quite a bit. That would have been terrifying to see a second incident from JD. I think that might have played into the move here coming into that chicane.
Yeah, you think he just gave it up, thinking it was a bit safer option.
Yeah, he might have just lost out the confidence after his unfortunate spin. And going back to the leaders, Mercer still leading the race, but Joel Dallas keeping that second position.
Dallas has done really well. He's right up in the top 128s lap time. He's right up there with them, and he's doing a good job of that on the track as well in the real-time race.
You know what? It looks like currently Joel Dallas has the fastest lap of the race, a 128.3. That's 3/10 faster than our race leader and a 10th faster than Schmid, who's following behind. And he's 2/10 faster currently per lap than Schmid, although it looks like he is 1/10 slower from Mercer. So Joel's going to have to pick up the pace. He definitely has it in him, but with his tires at their current wear percentage, he just might not have the life in them to push that hard anymore.
No, and they only have one lap left, right? So it's going to be hard. But he's going to be, Mercer's going to need to be really careful. Because, again, tires that worn, again, any slip up and he's done. Gives up that top place.
Yeah, and we have Rogério Santos in front of him. We saw earlier the battle between him and Greer. I don't expect it to be an easy move, but it shouldn't be something too difficult for Mercer. Although now Marsden is also in the fray. He's trying to make the move around Santos. He's going to go down the inside. Looks like Santos is letting that go through. We saw the brake lights come on. And Oswin Wilson in P7 with a 10-second penalty. Carlos Plaza 2 seconds behind. That's going to push Oswin all the way back somewhere within P10, potentially in front of DB. Ooh, and Jeremy Mercer definitely going wide, trying to get around Andrew Marsden.
Okay, the leader is on the final lap now.
Joel and Brendan now getting ahead of Rogério Santos. Andrew Marsden trying to get that toe right behind Jeremy Mercer. Joel Dallas hopefully making it through. It looks like Marsden did go a little wide. There goes Joel. We're going into the final lap. Brendan Schmid also gets around Marsden. Let's go on board with Joel Dallas as he chases down Jeremy Mercer for the final lap. Joel Dallas starting in P4 ahead of Peter O'Brien. Actually, Paul, correct me. Did he start ahead of him or in front or behind? He was definitely on the second
Dallas?
row. Yeah, Dallas.
I think he was in front. I don't have that in my notes, but I'm pretty sure he was in front. It was close either way.
I agree that was a second row start for Joel. It might be a first row finish. And it looks like Wesley Lamy now is going to somewhat get involved into the last chicane, or Javier Marquez, apologies. Into the final chicane, and it looks like Jeremy Mercer is going to cross the line for a first place finish here in round 4 in Zolder, and that's Joel Dallas' highest finish, followed by Brendan Schmid P3 and Peter O'Brien P4. And
that was a good race by Dallas. That was definitely his to lose. Another few laps, you might have had a fighting chance to get a podium though.
I agree, and there comes P5 for Mike Seegers. We saw a bit of an off track from Latsis falling behind Felix, and it looks like Eric Diaz is out of this race, so that's a P6 finish for Oswin, and Carlos Plaza followed behind from Paulo Alex for a P6 and for P7 and P8, and rounding out, or actually in the top 9, DB Cooper, D Braze coming in P9, and Dan Lunn rounding out the top 10, followed by Mike Medina, Mr. Massive Kurt coming in P12, followed by Justin G and Rafael Astolfo in P14. There comes Jeffrey Braid across the line for P15, followed by Chris Sweeney and Christopher Greer around the final turn for P17. And it looks like David Nelson now is going to come out P18, but that's a 15-second, 10-second penalty for Greer and Minda as he's closely followed by Aiden Benitez. And Wesley Lamy, unfortunately, coming out P33. So that was a fantastic race. What did you think, Paul, for your first time here in 604?
It was great. It was actually a lot closer than I expected it to be. That top 5, it was anyone's race, and I always like that when it's a close one. I'm a little bit disappointed that Moss didn't have the great race that I was expecting, but gained a couple of positions back. That's the important thing. I had high hopes though.
Yeah, I agree. And it looks like, unfortunately for Eric Diaz, it was not a power unit issue, but there was just no more data, and he could not continue, so he had to retire the car.
That is rough.
And we're going to
He
quickly...
was having a good run there.
Yeah, definitely. He would have finished P5 ahead of Seegers.
Yeah, it's going to be a disappointing one for him.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Now, guys, if you're watching currently, with the absence of Giancarlo, we're not going to have a post-race show in the normal fashion. We're going to skip the driver interviews as we don't have Giancarlo. But with Paul still here, we're going to analyze at least the first 2 laps and just quickly see some of the action that we might have missed. So we're going to quickly pause here. We're going to go on break and stick around. We're going to see what happened. It's not going to be the crazy first lap that we saw last time out in Monza, but I think we can maybe find a couple good battles to look back once again. So stick around for a bit and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back, guys, for the post-race show. I am joined here by Paul, the Gamer Scott. Unfortunately, we don't have Giancarlo out here tonight, although it looks like our green room is kind of full. So you know what? We might actually just have that post-race show after all without Giancarlo as we go on the formation lap here. And you know what? We're just going to drag in everyone in at once. So let's see how this goes. All right, we got Carlos Plaza joining in. We got Jeremy Mercer, Joel Dallas, Peter O'Brien, and Rafael Astolfo. What's going on, guys?
Hello. Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
What's
how are
good?
you?
Thanks.
So this might be a little different from what you guys are used to. There's no Giancarlo for tonight, unfortunately. But I am joined by Paul, our brand new commentator. Paul, say what's up to the guys.
How's it going?
Evening. Hello.
Very nice.
How's it going?
What's up, Paul?
Very tired up, actually.
All right, so you guys in Discord, I'm sharing the feed here with you guys. And let's see if anyone else is in the green room. Looks like we're good. So for those of you guys who are here, that's going to be it for our post-race show. We're going to cut it a little shorter without Giancarlo. But if I can start with you, Joel, that was an incredible race, man. The moves you made to get around Schmid. Tell us what were you thinking the whole time?
It was I don't know. I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I think I didn't. Brennan actually made a small mistake, so it allowed me to get alongside him. And then I think he didn't want to get too pinched in the hairpin, so in the chicane, so he braked a little earlier than I did, and I managed to squeeze past on the outside. But yeah, he did make a small mistake, which allowed me to get alongside. Otherwise, I don't think I could have passed.
Yeah, and we're looking here in the replay. We're looking at your battle at the start of the race with Peter O'Brien. You guys were definitely fighting it out as you went ahead. We mentioned at the end of the broadcast you started on that second row and finished in the first one. I almost expected you to have a longer battle with O'Brien. Is that what you were looking at coming into this race?
Absolutely. Being on the inside for turn 1 at Zolder isn't the greatest thing, because I know if you notice, Brennan got jumped at the start as well. So Peter got around me and I was like, well, this is it until the pit stops or something. But he's in here. You could say I think he made a small mistake as well, Peter. And I know we had some door touching there, so I'm sorry if that was my fault.
No, you're all good. That was definitely on me. I ate the chicane a little too hard. I can't eat it as much as you guys. So I popped out and lost it a little bit, and then we kind of smacked doors, and I was like, all right, that was my fault. I'm going to just let him go.
Now,
No
Peter,
problem at all. Sorry, go ahead.
You're mentioning your the difference in the setup. I was there last night watching you guys in the house of practice. You had a lot of back and forth with, I believe, Larry Foster, one of our sim racing coaches. Were you able to get your setup to what you liked?
I mean, sorta. I knew coming into Zolder that it wasn't really going to be a super strong track for pretty much any like super low mid-engine car. I knew a lot of the rookie guys were struggling in the Ferrari just because they couldn't eat as many chicane curbs as you could in a Mercedes or a Bentley or a, whatever front engine car you want to say. But I felt like I got it. The goal of my setup was just to make it drivable and stable for an entire race. It wasn't to go out and set like blistering lap times, because you're not going to have a safe car with that. So I just did what I could to keep it as stable overall as I could and just get from A to B ultimately.
And joining us now as well is Brennan. Welcome, Brennan.
Hey guys.
So, Joel and Pete, were you guys expecting the results you guys came out with?
I was not expecting second place. I was hoping for third at best from my qualifying spot. Wasn't expecting second place. And these guys had great pace out here tonight, and as you know, Zola is very difficult to pass if someone doesn't make a mistake, so I'm very happy with my finishing spot tonight.
And Brendan, sorry Pete, if I can quickly ask, what happened there in the last couple laps there when Joel got around?
Yeah, I think I went up on the curb there on turn 3, and yeah, he got past. Damn.
Yeah, we're looking at it here right now. I believe this is it, lap 27. We saw this move time and time again. Eric Diaz, Mike Seegers, I believe Zach Felix, Mike Latsis, Rogero Santos, and Christopher Greer. It didn't really happen. There was a bit of a switchback between, I believe, turn 3 and turn 4, and coming down into the chicane. If you had that better exit, you just got ahead of it and then just never let it go. At any point in time, were you just chasing him down, hoping to get it back?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the hope, right? But yeah, Zolder's like we got a couple of blue flags near the end there, and it's just difficult situation to get up places.
And Peter, when you saw this position change between Joel and Brennan, Did at any point you push a little harder to catch it up, or was the Bentley just much faster?
I was pushing as soon as I seen them get within a second of each other. I knew the only opportunity that I had to make up any time on either of them was to just push when they're trying to fight. When they got tight together towards the end of the race as well, again, I was just trying to make up as much time as I could, but every time I'd make up half a second, I'd either dip a tire in the dirt or eat a little too much curb and kind of fly into the sky. I don't know. I felt genuinely, in my opinion, I kind of had a boring race after Joel passed me on like lap 2. I just lapped around in 4th for 50 minutes and didn't really come within 3 seconds of anyone.
Oh man, that's unfortunate. We definitely saw you as we looked on Joel and Brennan. And Paul mentioned this. It was always hard to not see your livery in the back, so we were always looking at you. But yeah, as you mentioned, it looks like you were caught in a bit of a no man's zone there. Just no one behind, no one in front to really battle
I
with.
was just in a gap. After like the 5th lap, I seen that I had, I think at that point it was Wilson behind me. I had like 2 seconds on him. I was like, all right, I'm just in a gap here. I'm going to just drive and see if I can catch someone. But I kind of knew, seeing how fast Brennan and Jeremy and Joel all were, that I just kind of needed to hold where I was and try not to kill my car or send it into a wall or anything.
Gotcha. And for the silver class, we have Carlos Plaza. Carlos, what's going on, man? How was that first place finish for silver?
Well, actually, it was a very, very difficult race. Solder is like Peter said, it's a track that is very, very complicated for a setup or even pass another person. Um, I just was like, trying to keep it safe. I had actually a great start. I didn't expect to be on P8, P7 on the final laps, but well, I got into there. Um, and yeah, I was actually on the last 10 minutes, I believe so. I have a great battle with Alex. It was amazing, but yeah, this was um tire. It's tire. It's a track that demands you a lot of your time, a lot of your concentration. And yeah, well, sometimes when you keep it up, you got like great results like this.
No, man, that's fantastic to see. And yeah, looking back at the start, Alex was right there behind you from the start. To see him still behind you towards the end of the race, I think that's a great job. And overall, I think if anyone, I think you deserve that promotion to the pro class for sure. How do you feel about that running in silver?
Well, I actually on the first time I was going to sign up, I I thought about on going, well, to the pro class, but well, when I see the names, I just, well, that is not going to happen. so, so I on the first time I just said, well, let's go silver. If I do a great job, well, I can go, to the other class, but it's difficult to keep it up with that, guys. I can tell you that every single app I was seeing, like Eric Diaz, Wilson, Dallas, Peter, every single one of them pulling up like half a second or even a second. So it was pretty difficult. But yeah, I keep it forward. I would thought so to the next season GoPro.
Nice, and definitely Palo Alex in the chat right now saying that you deserve that pro class, and I would definitely agree. And it looks like
with Alex. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, yeah, with Alex on the start he was on the rear wing every single time. He was looking for the space, and also when I didn't see it on the time when I pit, but when I go out, he's over there, and I say, "Oh my dear God, again!" But yeah, it was a great race. Actually, I am exhausted, but It was
No,
a great race.
it's definitely a well-earned victory, and as we're looking here at the replay, there was a lot of battling there that Alex had to do with DB in order to get right behind you, and as you mentioned, towards the final laps, he was still there. So I definitely, I agree there. You had an intense race. Alex kept the pressure on the entire time. I'm sure you didn't get a single moment to just catch your breath.
No, it was back and forth. Sometimes it was a second, sometimes it was 0.2, I believe. It was pressure all the time, all the single time. It was a moment when I saw that Wilson get the the penalty. I thought, well, I can maybe push, I can pass Wilson, and maybe Alex can battle with Wilson. But now, on that time, we were battling so hard. My arms were tired up. The tires also were, you know, a little bit of flat spots, but it was great. It was normal to handle. But yeah, that's like my race.
No, that's a fantastic job. And we also have Rafael Astolfo. Rafael, what's going on, man? How was that third finish for the silver class?
I'd say it was probably a very positive considering what happened, everything I went through. But I didn't get a good qualifying session again. That's probably something I need to learn because it's my first league like in a year and a half, and I keep getting behind somebody. I don't know what happens, but and then I end up underinflating my tires for the first stint. So I was actually holding some people back, and I felt bad. One of them was actually my teammate, which was Sweeney, and he was right behind me. And in the end, I just slowed down. I just let Sweeney almost catch up to me, as you see him coming on the Lamborghini. But after I pit, I was okay. I thought I actually burned the pit entry. I must have been like right on the dot when I passed the 50 speed limit thingy. But once I pit, I just kind of started letting a few of the pros through since I'm not battling for a position. I see that the one behind me was actually Chris Sweeney, my teammate, and he was 10 seconds behind. And I was said, I'll let the pros catch up and battle ahead of me because I was basically in between a couple of pros. But overall, the race, more like the second half, I started picking up a little bit of pace and did a little bit better. But again, it's still fun. Considering I started like in 21st or something like that, and if I had kept my pace, I guess I would have finished like around 12. I think that's where I was, 11, 12. And I saw Carlos way ahead. I was like, I'm not going to catch him. That's not going to happen. So I just let him through a little bit on the silver. I'll take the third spot. So it was fun though, pretty good. I kind of like Zolder. It's a crazy track, but it's fun to race on.
No, that's great to hear, man. And definitely like, I believe I'm already forgetting a second here. Not Plaza. I just spoke to someone. Who was it? Was it? Oh yeah, it was Carlos. Carlos and Paolo, starting together, finishing together. You started with Sweeney, and it looks like at the final lap, as you mentioned, you two were fighting it out still.
No, I had a better pit than he did because he was really close to me for the first couple laps. My tires were totally bad, and I almost was holding him back. So when he came to the back hairpin, at one point, I'm not sure whether he missed his brake mark or not, but he went almost straight into it. He lost a little bit of time. He fell back a little bit, but then on the pit, like I said, my pit stop was actually really good. I had no issues, and then by the time towards the later time of the race, I saw he was 10 seconds behind. So my pit was better than his was, and because I wasn't battling for position, there was a couple of pros behind me, between me and him. As I approached the finish line, I just let off the gas, and I just almost let him finish next to me. So he was like, I was like, hey, maybe you can almost have third, but you can stay in fourth. Almost have third.
Nice, that's awesome to hear. And as you mentioned, THR here, any word for the unfortunate DNF of Eric Diaz?
Yeah, he lost connection right on the last lap. I was on the radio with him, and I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. So, you know, it sucks. I don't know if you still earn points. I think based on race, I forget how the league is on as far as earning points or not. But and then Andy Berg, he's having issues with his ACC keeps freezing, and he doesn't want to be a liability on the track. So I don't think he's going to be racing until he gets sorted out. So.
Yeah, that's unfortunate to hear. We quickly mentioned the power issues for Diaz, so that's unfortunate that now this week he's encountering connection issues. And it looks like he was P6 to come in for that. So that was quite a battle he had too, starting pretty low. I can't remember. We look here actually, where he started from.
He was up there. Diaz. He was up there on top. I think started like 6th or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I believe it was like 6th.
Yeah, so that was a 2-position gain. I think what surprised me the most was not seeing him. He came out strong in the first couple rounds, and I believe in Monza, or at least that was a power issue with qualifying. But it was surprising to see him so far down with the NSX tonight.
Yeah, and you know, again, internet just booted him right out of the server. That's what he said. And Monza, he had the issue with the tire. He put in dries.
So, that's right.
Yeah, and then in Nürburgring is where he actually started last because I think he qualified or not exactly what happened, but that's the one race I had to miss. But he started last and he worked his way up the field all the way to I think 11th or so. But yeah, he's just been a streak of bad luck. So.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. That's unfortunate for him. And I believe that's everyone so far in the green room. It looks unfortunately for Brennan.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. Jeremy, my bad. Were you here the whole time?
Jeremy's the winner.
He is the winner.
Congrats, Jeremy.
Definitely,
yeah,
Jeremy.
good job.
I can't believe I forgot about you. I did not remember I dragged you in. What was that like, Jeremy? All jokes aside, you had that moment with Brennan having to give up the lead, and then you had to fight back the urge to not pit alongside him, which benefited you. What was your decision making there? How did you come to that?
So basically, I knew that my race pace wasn't as good as the Bitleys because I saw Brennan was just holding up behind me the first half of the race, and JD was catching up as well. I knew it would be really difficult to pass, so I was just focusing on staying close to him. But then when he pitted, I wanted to make sure I made it to halfway through the race just to make sure my tires were as fresh as they could be at the end of the race. So it was mostly just making sure I could drive the car effectively through the whole race. And once I made the pit stop, I don't know what happened to Brennan and JD, but I was clearly ahead when I came out. So I guess I had a fast pit.
Yeah. Do you remember what lap that incident happened on?
No, I do not. Basically what happened when Brennan got by me is I was coming up on a lap car coming into the first chicane, and I braked a little bit earlier than I normally do, but not enough. And I started approaching the lap car pretty fast, so I had to dive inside of them. They gave space. They ended up moving to the side, but I ended up so slow through the chicane that Brennan just got by.
I think this might be the lap. It was you were falling behind Eric Narvson, and he gets away. And okay.
At
the moment
I was just so tight there.
It almost looked like at first during the live broadcast, it looked like the curb had shot you out, but it doesn't seem like you hit the second one. Did you just have too much speed?
No, I was going way too slow. I hit the brakes early, and I was still approaching the car in front pretty fast. So I was still hard on the brakes to avoid hitting him. So by the time he moved out of the way, I was going real slow and was kind of at an awkward entrance. So I hit the first curb, missed the second one so I could get as much power down as possible, but it wasn't enough.
And then coming out of the pits, were you expecting that switch in position, or were you hoping for it?
Hoping, but honestly, I was expecting JD to be ahead since he was catching us so quickly. And I had no reason to think I would jump Brennan either, since we'd been basically equal on pace. But they may have had issues in the pits, and I was ahead by nearly 2 seconds to Brennan and like 4 to JD. So
You know what? When we were watching the final laps here, as you got around Santos, you got around Marsden, at any point in time, were you just scared that any one of those cars would have made contact?
they were being pretty respectful. I wasn't too concerned. I was mostly concerned that I wouldn't mess up because, as I mentioned, my car's wearing the tires a bit, and it gets harder and harder to drive towards the end. So.
Well, man, that's fantastic. Congratulations on the win. Glad we saved you for last, and thanks for you guys for helping me remember our race winner. Paul, did you have any questions you want to ask these guys?
Nothing to add here, really. I think you covered pretty much everything. It was definitely a race about defensive driving and smart pitting more than aggressive overtaking strategy. I think everyone's already said that.
Well, that's great to hear, man. And Paul, I just want to say welcome to the team. It's been great to have you, and it'll be awesome to see how we're able to gel together when we have Landros back. To you guys, congrats on the wins. Jeremy, Joel, Brennan, as well as Carlos, Raphael, and DB, who we did not hear from tonight. But that was a great race from you guys. Zolder is one that we have actually not had on the broadcast before, so it was exciting for us as well to catch that. And for all you guys watching, this is the official broadcast for Sim Racing 604. This is the post-race show. The race currently ended about 20 to 30 minutes ago. But if you want to check it out, go ahead and follow him on YouTube. That's Sim Racing 604. And come back next Thursday, 8:30 for round number 5. I believe this was round 4, so we have 2 more races for season 7. And I believe with this win, Jeremy's going to take the lead in the championship. I'll double check that. But for Sim Racing 604 and Landros, as well as Paul, thank you guys for watching. Thanks to the staff. Thanks to Brian and Lucas, our stewards, and pretty much everyone else in the community. If you're not part of Sim Racing 604, stick around. I'll post the link in the chat. Join our Discord. If you want to participate in the events, if you want to participate Season 7 or Season 8 coming up in the winter, go ahead and stick around. I believe that'll get started in the next couple weeks. But other than that, guys, thanks for joining. Congrats to the winners, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, man. See you,
All right, see you
next
guys
week.
next
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.